Hello and welcome to Nat Chat. I'm Mirella Ridge. Today our guest is Meg Campbell, who is a personal trainer and a wellness coach, and she's also co-authored the book, The Personal Wellness Diary. Personal Wellness Diary. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mirella. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you here. Can you tell us about how you became a personal trainer? How long have you been a personal trainer?
I've been in the health and wellness industry about 20 years now, Mirella. I started out doing my applied science degree in human movement and went on to do my teaching degree, Bachelor of Education in Phys Ed, and then I opened my own business, personal training business.
Oh, beautiful. And what attracted you to work in the personal training field?
Well, I've always had a fascination with the human body and the mind, and I think that's what led me into my human movement degree. I've always loved being very active, and I guess after doing the human movement degree and working in gyms, it sort of followed on from that to become a specialist PT.
That's beautiful. And you also did a lot of movement when you were younger. You were saying off camera that you did a lot of ballet and dancing.
I did. I danced from the age of 3 to about 17.
Wow.
And I've always played sport at a really high level and enjoyed being very active. So.
And you're passionate about the field you're in now?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think having done it for 20 years, if I wasn't, I certainly wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
But I certainly love it. Yeah.
Because sometimes people don't last that long. You were saying as well off camera, they
I think
short life.
I actually think the shelf life now is about 15 months. Someone was telling me the other day, and I think that's to do with burnout because it is a physically and mentally demanding career, and people often get into it being enticed by hourly rate or the freedom of being able to come and go, and don't realise that it is quite a demanding job. And also the hours, some people are working first thing in the mornings, in the evenings. I'm fortunate now after the amount of time that I've done it that a lot of my work's done in the daytime, so which helps with my family.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about this book you've co-authored, Personal Wellness Diary.
Sure. The Wellness Diary, it was written quite a while ago now, but I was in a role with another trainer, and we developed a business, pre and postnatal wellness business, and we found there was a lot of information out there and a lot of tracking journals and things that focused wholly and solely on nutrition or on exercise alone, and my approach had always been very holistic. So I look at how people are functioning under stress, whether they're sleeping well, what their emotional well-being's like, and there was nothing that allowed anyone to journal all of those aspects of their health. So we decided to put together something that was a bit more comprehensive, a bit more holistic.
Okay, and so can you tell us a little bit about the necessity of sleeping and that part of our
Absolutely.
lifestyle?
I think sleep is one of the most underrated aspects of health. We all know you should get about 8 hours a night, but it's really important to be getting really deep sleep, restorative sleep. It's when we rest and repair basically, and we restore ourselves. So it's vital for both our physical health and our emotional health. And mental well-being. And the issue these days is that people take devices to bed with them, and then they're quite stimulated right before they go to sleep, and therefore they're never getting into that restorative sleep.
I mean, like they're taking their mobile phones, or they're watching
TV. Or their iPad or watching TV, and that's stimulating the brain, and they don't get into that deep restorative sleep, which creates a stress environment in the body. And
so the ideal way to sleep is just not to watch TV before you go to bed?
Ideally a couple of hours before,
Yeah.
and also leaving your mealtime a couple of hours before, so that when you're into bed the body can just literally restore. It doesn't have to be spending
That's
a lot of
good.
time winding down, and some people have lovely evening rituals. It's not always people are not always able to stick to that sort of ritual, but a nice ritual would be to have your meal, have a herbal tea, perhaps get in a nice relaxing bath, read a little bit of a book, and then take that time to just wind down with some breath work.
What happens if you've got children?
Exactly.
We'll keep calling you.
Yeah, that's right. I'm very familiar with that, Mirella. As I said, it's not always possible. It's ideal.
Yeah.
But it's nice to get the children into a bit of a bedtime routine too.
Absolutely, yeah.
And my children, we actually do a little bit of a routine that we have our bath or our shower, and then we do meditation before bed, and that sort of gets them into that wind down state and far more relaxed state.
Yeah,
and most of the time it works. Other times they're in, up and coming into our room, and we're like any other household, but we do try and put things in place that reiterate that nice restful sleep.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. Well, it's good at least to try. And then
Absolutely.
I notice when I do it too with my child that we that she gets a lot calmer as well. So
for sure.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good for everyone, Mirella.
It's good for everyone. I noticed the whole household's calmer too.
Yes, absolutely.
We do like the rosary tape. We've got the rosary CD, and it's just beautiful and restful, and there's singing, and and she just goes off to slumberland. Yeah. And even my husband, who's not a Catholic or anything, but he can still hear it, and he's sort of it's part of it, so it's all good. Tell us a little bit about the book. What are other details about this book? Did it take long to write, or how did you form?
It took us probably about 9 months from the time of writing. Yeah. Most of the information was just our own intellectual property because we'd both been in the industry a long time. But we really wanted it to be very comprehensive. We really wanted to have all aspects of people's health covered and people not just focusing on one aspect of their health. It's also great for allied health practitioners to communicate with each other. We have clients who see a massage therapist and might see a dietitian, and they can all communicate together.
Okay. And how can people get hold of it? Is it still available?
It is still available, yes, on my website, megcampbell.com.au.
Oh, beautiful. All right, well, we're going to head off to a break now. You're watching Nat Chat. Stay with us. We'll be back with more very shortly. Hello and welcome back to Nat Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. If you've just joined us, we're here with Meg Campbell, who is a personal trainer and wellness coach and has also co-authored the book Personal Wellness Diary. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Mirella.
Now tell us, how has being a personal trainer affected your life personally?
Look, I think more than anything it's enriched my life. I have worked and had the opportunity to work with wonderful people. I've travelled a lot with my work. I have stayed very focused on my own health and well-being, and it's allowed me to have the freedom to have a family and continue to have a career as a working woman. So
because you can choose your own hours to work to fit in with your family. Can't you?
Yes, I can. So, and I think after the amount of time that I've been doing it, I am fortunate that I do choose to work in times that it's not affecting my family as well. So it's enriched my life, and that's why I'm still doing it and very passionate about it.
That's beautiful. Fantastic. I think when you work for yourself, you can organise it to suit yourself,
Yeah, I think you can, and I think it can be a bit of a trap because it's easy to take on too much and being your own business. But I think that when you hit a point where you're very balanced and you're authentic to how you're living your life, it can be great, absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful. And now you're married with 2 children, and how has being a personal trainer helped you run a family as well?
Look, I think that, as I said, you can fall into a trap of taking on too much, which I have done in the past, but not for many years now. I think that it's helped me because I have been able to maintain a really great family, relationships, friendships, and being able to continue my work and
also influence the children in healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely, yeah. Both of my children are very active and they have great nutrition. And as I said before, we have little routines and rituals that we do that are all part of and probably stem from my passion with my work as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, at this time of year, many people have made their New Year's resolutions. Gung-ho, so excited.
Yes.
This year I'm going to only eat whatever, certain amount of food or certain type of food. I'm going to exercise this amount, and then come around
now.
Around now. Or, sometime they decide they just can't do it anymore. Any advice for those people who have just fallen off the wagon, so to speak, that they haven't been able to continue what they were trying to set out to do?
Yeah, look, I think New Year's resolutions are quite fascinating, because people often feel they need to wait till the new year or wait till a Monday, and it's not the case. You can start any time of the day, any time of the week. Adding some good habits. But people who do set resolutions just need to be really mindful of setting resolutions or habits that are going to be sustainable. I think people set themselves up a bit for failure or even self-sabotage if they're not reaching, if they've decided they'll do a 30-day fast or a 30-day exercise challenge, and then it's not able to be continued on. And the most important thing with my work and what I do with my clients is, let's create habits that you're able to stick to, and that enrich your life and make you feel amazing on a daily basis, not just for 30 days and then it all goes to pot when you're back at work. Or
Well, that's the problem, is they think if they haven't reached it, I'll just eat anything now, or
absolutely.
I'll just do whatever I want.
It's a really
now.
interesting psychology around this, and a lot has been written around this. But I think the important thing is to decide on a bit of a vision, how you want your life to look and feel, and then from that create some shorter term goals, so say 3-month goals, and then from that create weekly goals that allow you to achieve those 3-month goals. And that's the approach I take with my clients. We break it down, and the weekly tasks can be quite small because they're heading towards achieving the 3-month goal, which heads towards your vision. And I think it really, the issue is when people decide, I'm going to do this, and it's usually very restrictive or depriving, and they go the opposite way because it's not sustainable. So small steps, I guess, is my advice, and realistic goals.
Yeah, I remember I flew to Cairns once, and I was going to go to this is the first time I'd heard about like raw food farm.
Yes.
And I was so excited about it. And then when I'd arrived, I got off the plane, I got to the place where we had to sort of sign the papers. I looked across the road before I went in there, and there was a cake shop across the road, and I thought, should I just have one last
cooked food? It's very interesting how that works.
Yeah, but I didn't do it. But
no.
And I told the person at the place that I was going to do that, and he said, I said, actually, should I do it now? And he goes, no, we start now. Like, he was so strict.
Yes.
I
think that can also be an issue, that really strict, restrictive, depriving way of being. And I think that if we're a bit more realistic and we choose goals that are going to nourish us and nurture us, and not just focus on the aesthetics, but focus on how we're actually going to feel. That's a really good starting point, because when you feel good, you do the right thing generally.
Speaking about feeling good when you do the right thing, what sort of diet and fitness regime do you follow?
Look, to be honest with you, I do practice what I preach. I have really good nutrition. I start my day really well. With my own little ritual, my own morning ritual, and I eat mainly a plant-based diet because it makes me feel good. And that's not to say you shouldn't eat meat or you shouldn't do this or that. It's just what works for me. And my fitness regime, look, it's changed a lot over the years. I used to do a lot of competitive sport and a lot of exercise. I now primarily do yoga, and I run, which I love, and paddleboard, and run around with my children and dance in the lounge room, and whatever I feel like on whatever given day it is. So I just am active every day, and I eat really well, and try to do everything that I suggest that other people do.
So you start the day with like lemon, what were we saying before off camera, lemon and water?
Lemon water is how I always start. So I wake up and I have my lemon water, and that just gets my digestive system flowing, ready to work for the day. And then I'll have a beautiful smoothie to follow that, and whatever I'm having for breakfast. And then I eat when I feel like it, and I try to eat in a really relaxed manner.
Beautiful. That's good. That's good, especially if it's plant-based. I mean, that's where all the natural nutrients are, obviously, isn't it? Just through the plants.
Absolutely.
Fruits and veggies.
Gifts from the earth.
Exactly. Well, we have to go to a break now.
Sure.
You're watching Nat Chat. Stay with us. We'll be back with more very shortly. Hello and welcome back to Nat Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. If you've just joined us, we're here with Meg Campbell, who's a personal trainer and wellness coach and has also co-authored the book Personal Wellness Diary. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Mirella.
Now, can you tell us, nowadays, do you have to be vigilant and watch yourself with your diet and your exercise program, or does it come naturally?
Look, it comes naturally, yes, to be perfectly honest. I know what makes me feel good and I try and maintain that. It's not a hassle at all for me. I very rarely do I lack motivation with keeping on track.
And was there a point where you had to be vigilant in your life, like where you thought, okay,
I think probably I had to be
naturally.
most vigilant when I was working really hard,
Yeah.
so working very long hours. I certainly still maintained my health and fitness, but I would put myself on the back burner a bit more, and now I'm really focused on putting my own oxygen mask on first and looking after myself so that I'm able to function at a level that I need to with my family and my friends and my clients.
That's beautiful. And what goals now do you have for the future? What sort of things are you looking
For the
forward to?
future, I think I really want to maintain the balance that I have accomplished finally after all these years of working very hard, and just continue to love what I do. As if I don't love what I do, I'm not going to keep doing it, but I do love it. I'm really interested in being a part of a wellbeing centre, so that's something that is on my vision board, is creating something like that, and also running some retreats, some affordable retreats for people.
Oh,
so,
that's beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, it's just...
Because a lot of them get quite expensive, but then
They
I
do.
guess, I mean, I used to do a lot of those things, but when you go, the information you get is invaluable. It's like
Absolutely,
it's priceless,
it is.
You know,
and it should
lasts
be
for a
accessible
lifetime.
to more
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
and that's what I'd like to be able to bring
Yeah.
a little bit more of. And I've done a lot of work within retreats, but I'd like to perhaps create my own.
Yeah. And can you tell us about some success stories of some of the clients you've worked with?
Sure. Specific examples, or
Yeah, we've got a bit.
Okay. Well, probably some of the most specific examples I could come up with on the spot. One of my clients, who I was working with for a long time, had a really horrific ski accident and broke his back. This is going back probably 16 years now, and he was told he probably wouldn't walk again. I still see him, and we run, and he rollerblades, and he plays basketball with his teenage son, and he swims, and he's got a whole new perspective on life from that incident, but also from really realising what's important to him. He worked very, very hard and didn't focus on his health and well-being, and now it's a big focus of his, and it's nice to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And several other stories of injury rehab. I've worked a lot with athletes and taken people through Worlds campaigns where they've competed for Australia and been very successful without injury, and hopefully in part to my strength and conditioning work with them. And probably, I think, as an overall, people who just have changed their perspective on their health and well-being and had a more balanced approach to it, and found a love for it, because it's interesting when people first hire a trainer. Sometimes it's because they just don't like to exercise on their own, or are not doing the sorts of things that make them feel good. And when you're a part of getting them to learn to love what they do and find movement that brings them joy and eat good food, not because it's a restriction thing, but because it makes them feel good.
Yeah.
That's, in my mind, success.
Taking
is
it from
empowering
a
other
positive,
people to really to feel fantastic. And a lot of the time it is, in our industry, it is all about how people look, and people come to you because they want to look a certain way. But my work is very focused on having them feel a certain way, and then the look just comes. It does come when people are feeling vibrant and well and healthy and fit, and looking good comes along with that, I think.
Comes along naturally, That's what John Field used to say at the Health Farm. He used to say to people, don't worry about being skinny, because I think everyone wants to go there and be skinny or whatever. And he'd say, just be healthy. He just always say healthy first.
It's so much about how you feel, both physically but also mentally. And then that brings a whole different mindset to how you look, because it does just happen. You start to look a certain way when you're joyful with your movement, and when it's not a restrictive thing. So.
And also with exercise, talk a little bit about exercise, the power of exercise, and how it helps people, not just physically, and physically as well.
Yeah, I think there's the extremes with exercise, so you can be really extreme with it, and that can be quite detrimental. You can not exercise, and that can be quite detrimental. You can be working towards a sport, and that's a different ball game altogether. It can also be emotionally really helpful for people's mental health. So when you exercise, endorphins are released, feel-good hormones, and it has a big impact on your mindset. Aside from the physical benefits, which obviously include your heart health and cholesterol and all those other things that we talk about on a health perspective, on a health level.
You know, it's funny how they say endorphins are released, but at the time it's like no one looks like they're smiling when they're going through it, but then later they're really smiling. You know, it's funny, at the time it's like, what about these endorphins? And you're like going through all this pain. But then you feel on top of the world after you've done it, but it's not during, it comes later.
Yeah, well, for some people it is during. It just depends on
how strenuous it is.
Yes, and your mindset to it. I mean, I feel a lot of joy when I run, but I perhaps don't run the way I used to run, and I don't compete anymore, so it's not as demanding, so I probably just get joy from it now. So you probably see me along the beach running and smiling, but I'm perhaps not going at a pace where I'm
in pain,
that I used to do when I'm in pain.
No pain, no gain.
Yes,
no pain, no gain. And with so you did competitive running?
I've done all sorts of things, Mirella, with my sporting background. I've done netball, and I've done athletics, and I've played on the Australian team for Ultimate Frisbee, which is a team sport, really dynamic team sport. Which was recently recognised by the International Olympic Committee, so we might see it in the Olympics one day. So I played for Australia on many occasions in that sport. That was my big passion, and that involves a lot of running, a lot of sprinting and changing direction. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
We've come to the end of the program. Would you like to come again next week?
I'd love to, thank you.
Great. You've been watching Nat Chat. I'm Mirella Rich, and our guest was Meg Campbell. We'll see you again next week.